Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. What we're seeing right now is nothing short of dramatic. A massive Flamingo strike has reportedly hit and destroyed Moscow's Baltic, Black Sea port network, crippling a huge part of Russia's logistical and economic lifeline. Over the past several days, multiple reports have emerged describing how Ukraine's long-range missile and drone capabilities have reached a level that allows them to hit deep inside Russian territory. These new Flamingo missiles appear to have struck with precision and devastating power, cutting off key transport, export, and fuel supply routes that connect Moscow to both the Baltic and Black Sea corridors. This strike is being described as one of the most significant blows to Russia's infrastructure since the start of the full-scale war. The ports and terminals that were targeted are vital links in Moscow's system for moving oil, fuel, and goods across its territories and into international markets. The Flamingo missiles, reportedly a new class of long-range cruise missile, were developed with stealth and speed in mind. They can fly low, changing their flight path mid-route, making them almost impossible to detect by radar. Their ability to strike accurately from over 1,000 kilometers away marks a major step forward in Ukraine's technological and military reach. The attack seems to have been carefully coordinated. Reports indicate that the Flamingo missiles were launched in waves, each one directed at different points along Russia's interconnected port system. The strikes are said to have hit key oil export terminals, fuel depots, and pumping stations. The Novorossiysk terminal on the Black Sea was reportedly one of the hardest hit. This port has long been one of Russia's main gateways for crude oil exports, supplying billions of dollars worth of fuel to foreign markets. Damage to this hub alone could cause weeks of disruptions and losses that ripple across the entire Russian economy. Further north, in the Baltic region, other strategic points were targeted. Kaliningrad's port facilities, already under strain from sanctions, are believed to have suffered additional blows. Rail lines, storage facilities, and ship loading terminals that connect the Baltic network with inland Russia were all disrupted. Together, the strikes have severed the corridor that links the Baltic ports to the Black Sea through Moscow's internal logistics chain. This network is essential not only for trade but also for military resupply, which makes its destruction both an economic and strategic disaster for Russia. The Flamingo missile itself is fascinating. It's said to be capable of carrying a warhead of over 1,000 kilograms, capable of annihilating hardened structures like refineries, fuel tanks, and military warehouses. Flying at extremely low altitudes, it avoids early detection and radar lock-on. By the time it's noticed, it's already within seconds of its target. These missiles represent a new phase in Ukraine's ability to strike back, combining long range with stealth and precision. Unlike earlier drone strikes, which were often used to harass or disrupt, this appears to be a systematic campaign to paralyze Russia's industrial and energy capacity. For Moscow, the implications are severe. The ports in the Baltic and Black Sea regions are the arteries that keep its war economy alive. Oil exports account for a massive share of Russia's income, and these facilities handle a significant portion of those exports. By targeting this infrastructure, Ukraine has hit Russia not just militarily but financially. The flow of oil and fuel keeps the Russian army moving and the government funded. Every terminal destroyed is a direct hit to the Kremlin's wallet. The timing of the strike is also telling. Winter is approaching, and energy exports are crucial for Moscow's financial stability. With pipelines already under strain and sanctions limiting its trade routes, losing major export terminals could force Russia to reroute shipments through less efficient paths, increasing costs and reducing output. The logistical chaos from this event may push fuel shortages across Russian regions, limiting mobility and increasing frustration at home. This in turn could create pressure on the Kremlin from within, as public discontent grows over a war that now seems to be hitting Russian soil harder than ever before. Ukraine's success with the Flamingo strike highlights its shift from defensive survival to strategic offense. The ability to reach hundreds of kilometers inside Russian territory without detection shows how far Ukraine's military technology has advanced. This is not just a symbolic attack, it's a calculated move to cripple Russia's war-making capacity. By focusing on infrastructure rather than purely military bases, Ukraine is cutting off the flow of fuel, equipment, and revenue that sustain Russia's war machine. It's the same concept used in other modern conflicts. Attack the logistics, and the enemy's front line will eventually collapse under its own weight. Russia's response has been predictable. Official statements have denied the extent of the damage, claiming that air defenses intercepted most of the missiles and that only minor fires broke out at some facilities. But satellite imagery, leaked footage, and local reports tell a different story. Fires burned for hours at multiple sites, thick plumes of smoke rising from oil storage areas. Emergency services were seen rushing to contain the blazes, and several major shipping operations were abruptly suspended. Insurance companies have reportedly pulled coverage for shipments in certain Russian ports, fearing repeat strikes. Economically, this event could mark a turning point. Foreign companies that continued limited cooperation with Russian ports are now reconsidering their positions. The perception of instability and vulnerability makes it harder for Moscow to attract trade partners. With sanctions already cutting off much of Russia's access to Western finance and goods, these new disruptions make the isolation even worse. Energy exports have long been Russia's financial backbone, and any reduction in capacity translates into billions lost per month. This could accelerate Russia's fiscal decline, reducing its ability to sustain a prolonged conflict. From a military standpoint, the strike forces Moscow to rethink its defensive strategy. Air defense systems designed to protect the capital and frontline regions now have to be spread across a much wider area. Protecting refineries, terminals, and ports means diverting missile batteries and radar systems away from the front, weakening Russia's field protection. This redistribution of defenses could open up new opportunities for Ukrainian offensives closer to the front line. The psychological impact of seeing deep Russian territory attacked also shouldn't be underestimated. It erodes the image of invulnerability that the Kremlin has tried to project since the start of the war. For Ukraine, this marks a validation of its homegrown weapons development. Early in the war, it depended heavily on Western systems like HIMARS and Storm Shadow. But now, with its own production of long-range cruise missiles like the Flamingo, it's gaining independence and flexibility. Reports suggest that Ukrainian engineers are working to increase production to several missiles per day, enough to sustain continuous pressure on Russian infrastructure. Each successful strike not only damages the enemy's capabilities, but also boosts Ukrainian morale and confidence. On the geopolitical stage, this strike could have wider consequences. Energy markets are already reacting to news of the attacks, with oil prices showing brief volatility. European nations, while wary of escalation, are also relieved to see Russia's export power being curbed. The Flamingo strike may further weaken Russia's leverage in energy negotiations and reduce its ability to weaponize fuel supplies during the winter. Meanwhile, other countries are studying Ukraine's tactics closely, recognizing how asymmetric warfare and precision strikes can challenge even a much larger adversary. Still, the risks are real. Every strike inside Russia increases the chance of retaliation. Moscow could respond with more missile barrages on Ukrainian cities, or by trying to disrupt European supply lines. The danger of escalation looms over every new capability that Ukraine deploys. Yet, for Kiev, the strategic benefits appear to outweigh the risks. By striking deep into the infrastructure that feeds Moscow's war machine, Ukraine is forcing Russia to play defense in a way it hasn't before. What's remarkable is how this single campaign could alter the trajectory of the war. If sustained, These kinds of strikes could drain Russia's ability to finance and fuel its military over time. Even if it can repair damaged ports, the constant threat of future attacks will make investors, insurers, and shipping partners hesitant to re-engage. The cost of protection and repair alone could strain Russia's already overextended budget. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to gain ground in terms of innovation and global support. The symbolism of hitting both the Baltic and Black Sea networks cannot be ignored. These two bodies of water represent Russia's historic trade arteries, the routes through which it has projected influence and power for centuries. To see them disrupted by a smaller nation using its own technology is a powerful message that traditional hierarchies of power are changing. It shows how precision, innovation, and strategy can outweigh size and resources in modern warfare. Looking ahead, this event is likely to trigger a new phase of conflict focused on infrastructure warfare. Both sides understand that logistics win wars. Ukraine has demonstrated that it can reach far beyond the front lines, and Russia will likely respond with hardened defenses and counter-attacks. We could see more long-range duels between missiles, drones, and air defenses, as each side tries to blind or starve the other of resources. But for now, the Flamingo strike stands as a major moment. It reveals that Russia's heartland is no longer untouchable, and that the very networks sustaining its economy are now under direct threat. The war is evolving, and so are the tools and tactics used within it. Ukraine's ability to strike where it hurts most has just reshaped the strategic landscape. Thank you all for watching and staying informed. If you enjoyed this deep analysis, don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more updates on the latest developments. The situation is changing fast, and we'll be here to break down every major turn as it happens. Stay tuned and stay aware. The world is witnessing history in motion.